how you want to make that stablecoin productive, right? Beyond just essentially using it for, shuffling capital around and sending it from one address to another, is yield a component to that? Like what kind of yield?
And so it's hard if you're a company coming in the space and you're trying to say, would we put our customer deposits into stablecoins if you can't trust it and think it's secure and it's easy to manage?
Are you guys primarily focused on trying to win some of these stablecoin deals like Western Union? When these guys come online, they're going to be using Solana. They haven't gone and deployed somewhere else first.
Welcome back to The Roll Up.
This is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy it.
Stepan, Garrett, guys, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure to chat about the world of stablecoins with you guys. Glad we made it happen. Guys, you recently got some love from Anatoly. Personally, that's how I found out about you guys. Anatoly was shouting you guys out as part of the stablecoin world on Solana. The very following week, we saw Western Union announce that they're launching a stablecoin on Solana. And so that's part of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Before we do, it's both of your first times on the show. I think that calls for a couple of intros. We'll keep it brief and concise, but who is Stepan? Who is Garrett? And generally, how did you guys end up here building squads?
So I'm Stepan. I'm co-founder and CEO at Squads. About 4 years ago, I really got into Solana with my very best friend. We met our third co-founder and decided to build the most secure and resilient stablecoin infrastructure for the ecosystem, and been doing that for the last 4 years now.
And yeah, I'm Garrett. I do partnerships and comms at Squads. I was at Blockworks before this. I did Lightspeed, the Solana podcast with Mert from Helios. So I got him famous and I hired him. So that's why he is where he is today.
Wow. That is an epic Mert shout out. You literally built the guy from scratch. He couldn't have done it without you. Garrett, any just before we get into stablecoins, any comment on the most recent happenings at Blockworks, the transformation from a media company to a data company?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously from the outside looking in. I think it makes sense that they're focusing on data and research. They also killed at that. They have a really good team. I mean, they had an awesome news team. I was really close with a lot of those guys and girls. So it's sad to see that happen. I know they're going to end up in good places, though. Blockworks has 2 killer founders. I think they're going to do really good. The most impressive thing for me with them is that over time that they've just been like kind of slow and steady. And you've seen a lot of news groups and different companies kind of fall off as you go through the cycles because sometimes they go too risk on, et cetera. And I think Blockworks has done it right, and that they were bootstrapped and then they didn't raise money until about 4 years in. And I think it's playing out for them really well. So yeah, I mean, it's really sad to see everybody have to get laid off. But like I said, I think everyone's going to end up in a good place. And I've already seen a lot of Solana teams reach out. So if you're looking to get into comms or marketing on this end, there's going to be a lot of job openings.
Very cool. Yeah, it's funny to think about a news company or a media company going risk on, but I think that is what we see. We see teams get tribalistic. We see them go all in with some of their reporting and take leaps and bounds. And so us at The Roll Up, we've been doing this for going on 6 years now, started in DeFi summer 2020. And it's just legitimacy. We try to keep an educational framing to all of this and just help bring true factual knowledge. One, to help us, right? So that we can make good decisions as personal capital allocators, but then also everyone watching can also make good decisions as well, now that they're well informed. Guys, again, thank you so much for coming on and for being here. I'd love to hear a little bit more about Squads, and then I do want to get into a sense of how you're seeing the stablecoin landscape playing out on Solana generally. So Stepan, maybe you can start. Tell us, what has it been like, your founder journey coming on, starting Squads, and then generally, why did you decide to build this protocol on Solana?
Yeah, so it basically is a journey of 4 years. Originally, we started focusing on governance infrastructure, and then pretty quickly figured out that we want to focus on multisig as the core component. And then somewhere along the way, we figured out that multisig is just one way to configure a smart account. And today, we're the biggest smart account infrastructure provider for Solana and SVM. And it was a very kind of natural progression together with the ecosystem. We, in the moment in time, we were what the ecosystem needed us to be the most. And when FTX happened, for example, multisig and self-custody for larger teams and valuable on-chain assets, particularly within the Solana ecosystem, became paramount. And so that also accelerated our growth in that moment in time. And as we have been growing together with our customers and sort of Solana teams and larger protocols, we saw them rely on stablecoins more and more, right? And use the multi-sig infrastructure to run payroll, to pay contributors, to essentially run their businesses entirely on chain with stablecoins. And so we also had to evolve together with them and bringing in more products and services that really allow you to go fully on chain with stablecoins as a business. And now we also have a consumer touch point with our Fuse wallet. And we also have now a developer product that makes it easy for other builders to come in and build similar financial applications on top of the infrastructure that we've been developing for the last couple of years.
And did you start relatively general and then you sort of dialed in, honed in on stablecoins as the primary driver of what you can use this infrastructure for? How did you start from kind of a general smart contract platform and then end up taking the leap and taking the dive into stablecoins? What was the rationale behind the decision-making process?
I think it's seeing how your customers actually interact with your product, right, and where they find most value. I think the way we think about like our business generally is there's the infrastructure layer, which is Squad's protocol. It's really good at bringing in capital and assets into the ecosystem of Squads because it's very secure, it's very reliable, and it's now a very trusted sort of Lindy layer for securing assets within sort of the SVM world. And then we have this kind of second layer on top of the protocol, which is the productivity layer, right? Like it's apps and products and services that allow us to help make that capital productive, right? And so we saw that most of our customers were starting to rely on stablecoins as essentially the core infrastructure to run their business. And it became very clear to us that this is where things are going. And we actually kind of got that sense before there was this sort of stablecoin mania and everybody was talking about them, because we actually saw that happen on our platform, right? We saw our customers do that. And so that was really the main driver. It's just like talking to our customers and talking to our users, right? And figuring out that this is where the world is going. And then really kind of focusing heavily on bringing more stablecoin focused products that allow you to run your financial operations on chain to market. And so that was kind of the journey for the last year and a half.
Very cool. And this is certainly something that is continuing to accelerate. You guys saw it early, and now Western Union has announced that they're going to be launching a stablecoin. This was like the last holdout. This was like the last person that was like, in their horse and buggy when the car came out. They were like, no, like, don't take away my horse and buggy. Cars are, they're not going to work. Man, Western Union launching a stablecoin, and they decided to do it on Solana. There's rumors that, Solana might have paid for some sort of exclusivity arrangement. Can I just get a general reaction to what it's like that now Western Union has said that they're going to launch a stablecoin and they're going to do it on Solana? What is your reaction to this news?
I think Solana has an amazing team, and they're working really hard to make the fintech world and the payments world outside of crypto aware of the amazing technology stack that's been built in the last 4-5 years, I think, at this point. And I think Western Union is just it's a great milestone, right, for the team at Solana and for the ecosystem broadly. But job's not finished. There's so many companies that are just thinking about their stablecoin strategies, and there's so much ground to cover, and there's so many like Western Union type caliber partners to acquire. And so I would say Western Union is fantastic. I think the rumors are incredibly silly. And I think a large incumbent player recognizing Solana for its technology is actually very rational and makes a ton of sense. And I think we're going to see a lot more of those in the coming months and years.
Cool. Garrett, question for you. What is it like to acquire one of these stablecoin partners? Are you guys working with Western Union? If so, how were you able to land that? If not, what are some of the other stablecoins that you're targeting to ultimately acquire as part of the Squad's partner network?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be involved with as many stablecoins as possible. I'll say that. And kind of bouncing off what Stepan said, I think it's really great even from a brand awareness standpoint. I was just at Money 2020. A lot of the people there heard about the news and started asking around, and then you start hearing Solana more and more, whereas like the first 2 days or first day of the conference, you didn't hear that at all. So it's a big change there. I will say one thing that's unique about maybe the Solana ecosystem, and I think Squads in particular that really stood out to me when I got here, is that was, after FTX and everything happened, is that you have people here that continue to build and try to make great products no matter what's kind of happening on the outside partnership side. I think it is nice from a momentum standpoint and also brand awareness, but like we're used to here, we're just going to build great products, and no matter who comes on through partnerships, We know in the long run, if you build great products, everybody's going to come to you. So if you bring in the users, then the supply side, which to me are the stablecoin partners, they'll come. And that's our goal.
Got it. And so speaking, it seems like everyone and their mother's a stablecoin issuer these days, right? So speaking to kind of the group out there that is now getting into the game, issuing stablecoins, they're going and they're putting their foot into this business. It feels like every bank, every major institution, if they have some sort of financial capital at stake, they're going to be settling using stablecoins. JP Morgan just announced something in this regard today. What do you say to these guys? What is the conversation? Does it differ between enterprise and more crypto native? Like, what is the elevator pitch for squads, and why a stablecoin issuer should use squads?
I think specifically on the issuer side, and as the pitch we've been making for the last 6 months, and we can't kind of talk publicly about a lot of these conversations and things in the pipeline, but there's a lot more things coming. We are pitching ourselves as a trusted partner to design your stablecoin strategy, right? And how you think about self-custody, key management, stablecoin accounts, how you want to make that stablecoin productive, right? Beyond just essentially using it for shuffling capital around and sending it from one address to another, is yield a component to that? Like, what kind of yield? And so we really come in as this partner that can give you the infrastructure, can give you the expertise, packaged also in the form of our enterprise and developer offering Grid, which is a set of simple APIs that unlock stablecoin accounts, card issuance, plug-into orchestration, give you programmability and on-chain policies. And so we are really that partner that helps you design the stablecoin strategy. And we're obviously vertically integrated with Solana. We're single chain because we think this is how we can deliver the best experience to the customer, right? And so from that perspective, we are also very synergetic with the work being done obviously by the Solana team. And so we work closely with them on sort of thinking through what is the right path for bringing in more fintechs and large institutions and asset issuers into the Solana ecosystem.
Relay, low fees, lightning speed, and the power of multi-chain at your fingertips. Instant multi-chain payments. Choose any token on any chain. 75 plus networks supported. More than 5 million users. 8 billion plus volume processed. 70 million plus transactions. Fast, reliable, everywhere. Start swapping today. Only on Relay.
Hibachi. Provable. Trade perps with speed and security. Earn rewards. Visit hibachi.xyz. Trading on fire.
The wait is over. The Talus testnet is live. Be part of the revolution. Join now at testnet.talus.network.
That makes sense, right? And Solana's philosophy has always been vertically integrated. Before it was like modular versus monolithic. Generally, we've seen more and more applications, platforms, L1s take this approach. Hyperliquid is going in this direction. It's this vertically integrated direction. And so we're seeing stablecoin issuers also go in this direction. We're seeing the rise of stable chains, Circle, Arc. We've got Tempo on the rise. Another acquisition was MasterCard that acquired or is supposedly acquiring Zero Hash, for the settlement of these transactions and specifically payments. So how do you see, given that you guys are focused on Solana, right? And there's a very vertically integrated approach there. Could you just unpack more about the rationale? Why does this give issuers a better experience than, say, launching their own stable chain?
I think maybe Garrett can also speak to, I think, the benefit of existing in internet capital markets, but it's the idea that it's a thriving, open, permissionless blockchain that has DeFi activity, that has internet capital markets activity, that has a lot of asset issuers coming in to do things on that chain. And so existing in this open environment, this is where you can actually reap the most benefits of an innovation mindset, right? And then innovations that come from the open system. And from a security and sort of reliability guarantees, we definitely believe that for like when you have a bunch of corporate chains that sort of interface with one another, that is actually not a viable foundation. Having a secure base layer that actually gives you security guarantees, performance guarantees, and has a massive community that hyper optimizes for performance and speed and security of the underlying blockchain is actually very important, and we think it's it's a massive benefit. And so when we are in those conversations with larger enterprises that are thinking about their stablecoin strategies, that's the argument we're always making, and so far it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, what I would add to that too is I think all these stablecoin issuers that are trying to more or less, I don't think there's going to be 1,000 of them, right? I think there's probably going to be a handful that really succeed at this payment use case. There's going to be so many stablecoins from the sense of like my platform. If I'm Starbucks, I might have stablecoin, Starbucks coin, But I think we're only going to have like USDC, USDT, and these other probably like 5 stablecoins. They're going to want to be everywhere. It's a services business. But if you're picking a home, the thing with Solana is that it's been around for the last like 5 years. We do have a lot of payment chains coming out. They have a lot of great features, but I would say at least 95% of that is covered by Solana today, and it's live in production. I think it's another thing with Squads is that we've been around since 2021, working in the stablecoin and infrastructure and security space. So if you want to go somewhere today that has a whole DeFi ecosystem built out, you have experienced builders, you have the infrastructure in place, that's where Solana is. So I think you make that your home. But I think it's kind of silly to think that a stablecoin is ever just going to be on one chain in perpetuity if you want to be an ultimate like payment stablecoin, because you want to be everywhere.
Right. We had Jeremy Allaire come on the show, and he was describing this effect where think about Netflix. You can watch Netflix on your iPhone. You can watch Netflix on your laptop. You can watch it on your TV. You can watch it on an airplane. There's all these places. It becomes ubiquitous once you have the proliferation and the distribution of a stablecoin on all the chains. And so could you separate out maybe what, Garrett, when you say you may have Starbucks coin, but you only may have like 4 or 5 payment coins. Could you kind of just separate those 2 threads?
Yeah, I mean, I think about it that like every big company that has customer demand is going to want to have their own coin, in some sense, own stable coin, and just the sense that they can make all the rewards, earn the yield on that. So it's more of like loyalty points at the end of the day, more or less. But I only think when you're talking about international payments and payments in between companies, payments in between banks, there's only going to be a handful of stablecoins that actually everyone's willing to accept and also has a really deep liquidity. And so at that point, you're not going to have 10,000 of those, the alphabet soup where there's so many different names of USDC or, USD token. So in my opinion, there's probably going to be like 3 to 5 of those. But I think anybody that has a lot of customer demand is going to have essentially a checking and a savings account where if you have customer funds sitting in your ecosystem, like even Stripe, it's easy, right? Like they have so many balances in their ecosystem, they're going to have a stable coin so that they can get those rewards and also share it with their customers. Whereas like if you're holding USDC, typically you're not earning anything on that. But for payments, those type of stable coins make sense.
Got it. And how can they leverage Squads in this example, right? If there's a fragmentation problem and we've got thousands of stable coins in there, and Starbucks has a stable coin, and USDC exists, and Chick-fil-A coin, and all these different things, even given that they're more of loyalty programs, we're going to need to clear between these stable coins somehow, right? How can they use Squads to help accomplish and maybe fix some of this fragmentation issue?
Yeah, it's a good question. Chick-fil-A coin made me laugh, by the way. Steph, I can let you take this, but I'll just give my like kind of high level thoughts. I mean, I think a lot of this is a liquidity issue, right? If you're going in and out of your own stable coin to one that you make payments with, that's a liquidity issue. That's not something that we naturally focus on, but what we do provide is the infrastructure that allows you to do this money movement in a secure way. So that's kind of like the high level that I'll provide. And Steph, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I think we're not solving interoperability, right? Like we're solving secure, reliable infrastructure that allows you to deploy stablecoin accounts for your own enterprise, for your customers, for basically for the whole ecosystem, right? And design a stablecoin strategy around money movement and stablecoin accounts. And so I think from our perspective, obviously, we think that interoperability, particularly in the stablecoin space, is going to happen, and there's going to be multiple chains, right? We're not thinking that Solana is going to be the only chain to exist. And I think the way we think about our infrastructure is that it gives you, it allows you to maximize benefits that Solana can give you from a performance and reliability perspective. And then obviously, if you want to have your assets, on multiple chains, then you're going to have to match the same functionality. But I think that's from like the infrastructure perspective. From a product perspective, our focus is very much on bringing in net new inflows into the stablecoin space, right? Like we're not kind of thinking about how can we get supply, like stablecoin supply from chain X to Solana, or the other way around. It's very much how can we grow the stablecoin supply, right? How can we create net new stablecoin supply that comes in through different entry points that we create with our products and allow to get the efficiency gains of using stablecoins over fiat money.
Yeah, and I'd add that, like, it's hard if you're a company coming in the space and you're trying to say, would we put our customer deposits into stablecoins if you can't trust it and think it's secure and it's easy to manage? And those are basically all three things that we were trying to do constantly. And we started that with crypto teams, and now we're bringing that out to the traditional finance world.
Right. So help me rationalize this then. There's, 300 billion of stablecoins now. I think we all have heard, Secretary Besson and the projections at how much, this could be in scale 3.7 trillion by 2027, 2028. And so if we're not too focused on, trying to take the stablecoins from other chains, that's where, predominantly most of the stablecoins are today, right? I'm looking at DeFi Llama here, 160 billion on ETH, 78 billion on Tron, 15 billion on Solana. So Solana is number 3, but it's still 10x away from the scale of stablecoins on Ethereum. And so are you guys primarily focused on trying to win some of these stablecoin deals like Western Union? When these guys come online, they're going to be using Solana. They haven't gone and deployed somewhere else first, or is in an effort to grow the supply of stablecoins on Solana, it still makes sense to try to sort of siphon off or vampire attack some of the stablecoins from other chains, or is that not the right way to think about it?
I think Altitude, our business account, is a good example, right? So we announced just a month ago public launch of Altitude, which is essentially gives you a business banking experience, but purely on stablecoins. There's sort of no crypto knowledge required. It's all any kind of CFO or an operational person in a traditional startup would be able to fully navigate it and use it as if it's their sort of traditional bank account, but it's fully powered by stablecoins and Squad's infrastructure. And I think that's a good example where it's much less interesting for us to go and say, well, how can we get more of the stablecoin supply from Ethereum, rather than looking at a massive market and saying, can we allow 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 businesses to start essentially banking on stablecoin rails using our products and our infrastructure and growing stablecoin supply and Solana that way, as opposed to trying to figure out like how can we do these kind of zero-sum games, because we think that it's a massive opportunity that somebody should do this, and it's much more just engaging for us, and we think a long-term much better strategy to come in and into a market that doesn't have stablecoin solutions at all, and help businesses manage their financial operations much more efficiently using this new technology, as opposed to trying to go out there and move some supply from Tron or Ethereum.
And so in that regard, when you guys are having conversations with enterprises and they're looking at entering the stablecoin space, you guys come and you're like, hey, we can provide you the accounts, we can provide you the infrastructure to facilitate these stablecoin transactions. Are the enterprises asking you or concerned at all about what chain they're being deployed on, or are they not really that deep in the weeds? Like how involved are the enterprises? Where do they end up in the stack, or do they just kind of trust you guys to handle a lot of the infrastructure?
I think it really depends on the use case, right? Because like one of the most popular use cases we're seeing and we're discussing right now with a few customers is where you're a platform that you have capital coming in, and then you have to disperse it to either consumers. So it's like a payout platform for contractors or payroll. There's plenty of those where there's a lot of demand with those businesses to essentially verticalize like a consumer neobank within their own platform, right? So they can have float stay in the system, and so you have assets coming in, and then you're able to disperse them using stablecoins, so stablecoin wallets of essentially end recipients. And then you, as a platform that does the payouts, fully control that flow end to end. So from that perspective, you're really agnostic to the chain itself. Like you're not, you don't have alignment to Ethereum or Tron or Solana. All you care about is, can I deploy, 1 million or 2 million accounts for a reasonable price? Will this whole infrastructure be secure? Will it be self-custodial? In some cases, like that's starting to come up, where if you want to scale your enterprise to markets where you can't get licenses, or you essentially want to arbitrage the fact that self-custody allows your users to have wallets and essentially control their own keys. So you care much more about those questions, much less about what chain you're building on, as long as the chain kind of passes the threshold of being sufficiently decentralized, being performant, being secure, and giving you sort of the cost and efficiency guarantees that you require as a large enterprise making those choices. So yeah, but I think that's much more important than kind of thinking about interop and different chains.
Cool, makes sense. I mean, it certainly worked out for you guys. You got 15 billion in stablecoins that you're helping to secure. Could you describe what the makeup of that 15 billion is? Maybe just some metrics if you know any off the top of your head. Generally, I'm just curious how much stablecoins, like how what is the split, maybe enterprise to retail? Is it all USDC or USDT? Is there sort of a makeup demographic that way? Geographical regions, generally, where do you find the 15 billion coming from?
So just to clarify, 15 billion is total assets secured. So that includes assets other than stablecoins. Stablecoins is 2 billion and 100 million. And so that is made up mostly of USDC. So 1.3 billion is USDC. And then the rest is split across USDT, PyUSD. That includes BUIDL and some other stablecoins that are coming to Solana. I would say 90% of that is enterprises, and then 10% of that is retail. Geography-wise, it's I would say 50% kind of US or around US, so like the offshore ecosystem around US as well. So that includes BVI, Panama, and essentially where a lot of the foundations reside. And then the rest is sort of split across. We're starting to get more demand from Latin America, but then it's obviously Europe and parts of Asia. That is pretty evenly split in the remaining 50%.
Very cool.
Blockchain shortcuts, templates, and widgets launch without friction for builders by builders. Visit enso.build. Asset management redefined, built on ERC 7621. Standardize how you launch, manage, and trade on-chain baskets. This is Alvara, the standard for on-chain asset management.
You guys also have a partnership with Coinbase, all right? So you're kind of like putting your tentacles out into some of these other ecosystems. How has this partnership, it's been live for maybe 2 months or so, but you guys have, like you said, garnered over $1 billion of USDC, and there's very tight relations between Circle and Coinbase. So how has this partnership helped, or how do you think it will help in the future to continue the growth?
Yeah, so we're really happy to be partners with Coinbase. It's been a few months already, and we have a couple of features coming up that make it much clearer what this partnership is actually about. It spans, like, for example, we also heavily use EuroC, right, which powers the Euro accounts in Altitude and gives you this full, multi-currency experience at this point, where you have a dollar account powered by USDC, you have a Euro account powered by EuroC. There's a lot of DeFi things that are coming up and integrations that will allow you to, earn yield, and it will feel very much, intuitive to any kind of traditional audience without really thinking too much about, interacting with the blockchain. And there's also some things that we're excited around CBBTC, which we think is sort of the best version of Bitcoin out there on Solana today. And we have a few specifically Bitcoin or CBBTC focused features coming up in the next few weeks. But I think from our perspective, we obviously are stablecoin maxi, and we would love to have more stablecoins out there. But at the same time, we also see that majority of our customers do prefer to use USDC for payments, like Garrett was mentioning. And I think there's kind of a lot of there's kind of separation in customers' minds, where there's a payment stablecoin, there's a stablecoin that I use to earn yield. And I think that also is important from a perspective of, like, if these are real businesses, like, accounting matters, and having a single stablecoin that's both used for payments and storing your essentially cash balance and also being your investment account or like your earn account doesn't always work for reporting requirements. And so actually majority of the accountants we talk to and CFOs, they would actually prefer that those are two separate accounts and not a single checking savings account in one place. And so, yeah, I think so far we've been incredibly happy working with Coinbase. And actually, the partnership with Coinbase doesn't entail any kind of multi-chain aspect to it, right? It's like Coinbase is very active in the Solana ecosystem, and we kind of love to see them supporting DeFi in different ways, and as I mentioned with CBBTC as well.
Very cool. Guys, man, this has been an absolute pleasure. I don't have a ton more. I mean, generally, I think my final question here is, 15 billion and total assets secured. How do we get this to 100? How do we get to trillions? Everyone's saying trillions. Let's get.
I'm gonna give my quick viewpoint on this.
Please.
So we actually all get paid in USDC and stablecoins at Squats, and we have, like, the whole time when I joined the company, it actually, even though I was working in crypto before this, never got paid in USDC, right? So it's funny, I'm talking to people at foundations and different companies, and they don't get paid in stablecoins, yet they talk about it every day. So one, I would say that Squads is actually solving our own problems, and that we actually like run payroll through stablecoins. And now we actually have a business account so other people can do things like that. So we had a problem. We were doing it in the tough way. Now we actually solved our own problem. We were trying to expand that for others. But one thing I noticed as I got paid in stablecoins, initially, I was just off-ramping that to my traditional bank account because that's where my debit, my credit card is, where all my bills are. But over time, I started seeing that I could earn like 4 or 5% yield. And you start seeing those like payments come in each month. You're like, okay, this is kind of nice. You know, like maybe I'll let this balance grow a little bit. Then I'm somebody that likes to trade on-chain assets. So if I already have it in USDC, it makes it super easy to do that trading, right? So if you're somebody that doesn't do trading at all, I get it. Maybe you don't really care to get paid in USDC, but for me, it's perfect. Now with like our debit card, you can spend anywhere. And those cards are only get better over time. Like right now in the US, they don't have points, or most cards don't have points. If they do, it's like a token that might go to zero. We don't have points, for example, but we will. And so will other people. And then you have like another reason to use your stablecoins to spend. I think the more that you have to do on chain, which is like one reason why I think Solana is so great, is sure you have stablecoins, but you also have like internet capital markets in the sense that you can lend, borrow, trade. And every time that like stocks come on chain, then it's available to everyone, right? Like you can go to Fuse, our consumer app, and the day that some project launched stocks, you could start doing that on Fuse. The more that gets built out, the more reason you have to actually stay in those stablecoins once you get paid in it. And that to me, just over time, I mean, maybe there will be a step change moment where everyone goes into stablecoins, but I think it's once you start to see the benefits of it over time, just like I kind of have getting paid in it, slowly my balance has only gone up over time. I used to off-ramp all of it, and now I keep at least 50, 70% on chain. So I think it's less of a step function change unless there's some COVID type event that kind of, you know, QR codes came out of nowhere all of a sudden. That could happen in the stablecoin space as well. But I think stable coins with banks and tokenized deposits, that could be part of it. But I think otherwise, it's just really building really good products. And that's what we're trying to do at Squads. Because once you have the product and you're using it, you may not even care that stable coins are underneath it. But then you start seeing some benefits of it and your balance is just going to grow over time.
Incredible. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And you describe the incremental changes these ultimately add up and compound. Once people do start to see that 4 or 5%, that's a lot more than the 0.04 or 5% that they get on their savings account now. It's funny, just quick story. I was sitting in a room. It was at some crypto conference. There was maybe 50 of us. It was like this brunch event. And there was a payment company that was like, hey, who here? We all work at crypto company, but who gets paid in stable coins? Our company also pays our employees in stable coins. I was the only one out of like 50 people there that raised my hand. And then I had to explain how we did it. And it was, you know, back then it was like safe. And I think we used request finance and we did all these things. And so you're absolutely right. I mean, one by one, all of these companies are going to get onboarded. Those are little step functions in and of themselves, but over time, ultimately, these do really grow and they do add to the stablecoin balance. Look, 3.7 trillion by 2 years from now. This is all incremental, but it's going to be a lot of step changes that get us there, guys. Thank you so much, Stepan. I'll give you the last word. Anything to add after Garrett's rant and my story?
Thanks for having us. If you're a business, go sign up to Altitude. We would love to show you what it means to bank on Solana and use stablecoins to run your financial operations. If you're an individual, Fuse Wallet is waiting for you. It's one click away. And we're always around if you have any feedback or if you want to learn more about stablecoins or how you can use them in real life, being Garrett or me in DMs.
Love it. Thank you so much, guys. Absolute pleasure having you guys on. See you soon.
And thanks, babe. We'll see you next time.
Bye.